Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Kelly Sanchez. A man has been charged in the death of this 7-year-old girl attacked by a pit bull outside of her home on Kendallwood Road yesterday evening. According to the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, 20-year-old Eric Lopez faces a charge of negligent homicide for failing to confine or restrain.
Okay, now this is the story that I shared yesterday, and just like I assumed that this was someone's dog that had gotten loose, that had manipulated restraints and barriers, and turns out that is the case, right? This is the story I reported on, the 7-year-old who was killed. This was a fatal attack.
The dog and leaving it to roam the neighborhood.
Okay, so this guy got charged. Listen to that.
Negligent homicide for failing to confine or restrain the dog and leaving it to roam the neighborhood.
Leaving it to roam the neighborhood. So, I mean, what is there to stop him or anyone else who owns these things? There has to be some type of regulation if you're going to allow people to own them. Now, people shouldn't own them at all. But if lawmakers had any sense of safety at all, they would at least put some regulation on these things. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if they did do that, try to put some, and what am I talking about? They do have regulations. They tell you you're supposed to control them. That's their regulations. Whenever they want to increase safety, they bring out goofy laws like that. Like, hey, you got to get a fence. You got to send the dog to take a class on how to behave and whatnot. None of it ever works. So everything is proven to be a failure. The only thing that works is the complete absence of these things in society.
To confine or restrain the dog and leaving it to roam the neighborhood. We spoke with Sadie's principal and several of her teachers who are heartbroken about this deadly attack.
She just had a light inside of her that could not be contained. It's the fact that it was so abrupt and so senseless that I think that we're still processing it, and we're still trying to figure out how to best move forward.
She said the abruptness of it, and right now they're trying to process it and figure out how to move forward. Now, I assume she's talking about what type of safety protocols or what can we do going forward to make sure that this doesn't happen again. If not, then that's what she should be talking about. That's the only thing that anybody should be talking about. How did this happen? How can we stop it from happening again? You're talking about a 7-year-old who was tortured. And people act like they don't know what discussion to even have. Like, what do we do? How do we move forward? How do we respond to this? And they think like that because in the back of their head, they refuse to get rid of dogs. That's why they talk like this, like, oh, we just don't know what to do going forward or how to respond. Oh, it was so unexpected and abrupt. Okay. This stigma of being an evil person, if you say that dogs shouldn't be in our society, that needs to go first before you can sound like and act like a sane individual. Come on, man. The answer is obvious. The solution is obvious. Okay, so this was unprovoked. There's no reason to wonder anymore. Just like all the rest of the attacks are unprovoked. Yet another unprovoked dog attack. Now, this story surfaced 11 hours ago, and this media outlet is still fairly breaking news. I think this is the most viral story that's going around right now in the news. Like if you Google dog attack or pit bull, you will get like, 4, 5, 6 articles on this story alone. Okay, so, but I'll share a link anyways. Big shout out to everybody. Wow, 21 people up. I didn't expect anybody to be up. It is 6:07 a.m. my time right now on a Sunday. Already got a lot of people in here. Big shout out to everybody. So yeah, horrible story, horrible situation, but it is preventable. And that is what infuriates me. BK Bourne, Muchi, everybody else in the building. There was another story. I shared it on Twitter yesterday. Shared it on Twitter. And it was of a 2-year-old who was attacked. Crazed dog attack left blood spewing from toddler's face, with her mother fearing that she had died. Warning, distressing content. A toddler was savaged by a rabid dog in front of her panicked mother while walking in Bristol. I think that's in England. Okay, and she needed surgery. Now, look at the details of this story. It's pretty deep. So they're referring to this dog by its name. I'm not going to do that. But the mother, who's 27, she saw it happen. Her daughter was playing with a trike a few meters away. Now, if you will forgive me, I don't know what a trike is. Okay, it's a bike with 3 wheels. So as always, she was minding her own business. Okay, the child was minding her own business. She was not pestering this dog. The mother of 3 leapt up and pulled the dog off her. She said, look, the dog pounced on the 2-year-old who was playing with a trike a few meters away in the garden. Feared her daughter would die after she was mauled by a neighbor's dog in an unprovoked attack. Okay, so everybody here is confirming that this was unprovoked. When are we going to see a provoked attack like these behaviorists say always happens? They say that there's always something that was done to the dog. Especially so when you ask them about attacks on children, the only thing they talk about is how horrible the children's behavior is. That's the only thing they talk about. They don't talk about nothing else. And what I've been trying to stress is that I cover each story individually. And we look at the details. And I'm not seeing this. This is not being confirmed in the details of these stories. But look at this. So at first, she thought her daughter was dead. She thought her daughter was dead. She was in the front garden having a cigarette, talking with her neighbor. She said her daughter never leaves her side, and she was playing with a trike just a few meters in front of her mother. They said the dog came out into the garden, but her daughter didn't go anywhere near the dog. Okay, so she's saying that her daughter continued to play by herself and didn't go anywhere near the dog. She said, quote, her daughter was just minding her business and playing with her toys. This is the mother talking, people. The mother, not me. She said her daughter was just minding her business and playing with her toys. She said, quote, out of nowhere, the dog just lunged at my daughter's face, knocking her to the ground. She said, I leapt up. She said, I leapt up and ripped the dog off her. And her daughter just silently lay there as blood poured out her face. So her daughter was what? Unconscious already? It happened that fast? She lost consciousness that fast? Look at how easy it is for these things to kill. She said, the world spun around me. It was absolutely terrifying. Now look at this. This is serious. This is something that these people never deal with. And I'm talking to you schools. I'm talking to the media outlets. It's a huge failure on your part that you never talk about the mental health, the consequences, the trauma that these victims suffer, and the continued victimization of these toddlers, kids, babies, children, when you bring these therapy dogs into these schools and you just force every student in there to accept the presence of these mutants. What if some of those students went through what this child went through? Now look at what her mother said. She said that her 2-year-old daughter has been left traumatized. See that? She said her daughter is now very scared and doesn't like being away from her. Listen to this. This is serious. This is serious. She said she was due to start nursery, but we had to postpone it because she was so terrified. She became really angry after the attack. She stopped eating, and it affected her potty training. Now, let me ask y'all something. Again, do y'all think it's right for a child like this to be in a classroom and have teachers bring dogs inside talking about, hey, come pet it? See how disrespectful that is? How inconsiderate that is? That's why I say it's unethical. This dog therapy program that they have, and it's not just schools, hospitals and whatnot. It's very unethical, and it should be illegal. Okay, so this 2-year-old stopped eating. Says she's so young, it's difficult to know the extent of the emotional damage, but she's had art therapy to help her process what happened. She said, look at this. We had to rehome our 2 beloved dogs because I'm now so terrified of dogs. So according to the mother, she is also now terrified of dogs. So she's traumatized as well. Okay. Now, this is a serious problem. How society is so inconsiderate towards people who have been attacked by dogs. Some of those people were attacked when they were children. This is very serious. Right? I see you, Death Rangers. The Orc Wrench in the building. What's up? Kenbo. Now I want y'all to look at this. Where's that story? 16 symptoms of PTSD following a dog attack. Now we're not going to go through 16 symptoms. Not quite anyways. But look at what the victims of these dog attacks, look at what they go through. They re-experience the symptoms. They relive the trauma over and over as the brain tries to process it. They may have nightmares, flashbacks. The victim relives the event as if it's happening again. Sometimes this takes place during their sleep, in a nightmare. Trigger events. A slight sound may cause a significant emotional reaction. In the case of a dog attack victim, the sight of a dog or the sound of barking could turn into a trigger. The mere sight of a dog. Doesn't that make it very unethical for these people to bring dogs in randomly into schools, into hospitals, so on and so forth? 100% unethical, and it shouldn't happen. When you got people in the population like this, avoidance symptoms. These symptoms are a way for the victim to try and create a wide berth of safe space to prevent reoccurrence of an attack. These might include staying away from or trying to get away from places or objects that remind them of the attack. For example, avoiding dogs, avoiding the site of the attack, refusing to talk or think about the attack. Now, avoiding dogs, that's something that we have to do anyways. When you look at these symptoms, you realize that it's the society itself that causes these people to behave like this. If society didn't strategically put these dogs in our communities, you wouldn't have people going around behaving like this. You know, you wouldn't have people saying, I'm not going here, I'm not going there, because there's dogs there. And if you're smart, that's what you're going to do. Look at this. Cognition, mood symptoms. Look at this. These have to do with the victim's overall demeanor and behavior in the aftermath of an attack. These symptoms may include selective memory repression, failing to recall certain key elements of the attack, irrational sense of guilt or blame, negative thoughts and or depression, negativity turned towards the world or oneself, isolation and disengagement. The person may no longer find enjoyment in his or her favorite activities or may avoid relationships. Now, this is terrible. This is terrible. Hyperarousal. Now look at this. Hyperarousal symptoms. Look at this. In the context of PTSD, refers to an overall heightened sense of anxiety or an awareness of possible lurking danger. Listen, that's the world we live in. Because there are dogs in society, including bully breeds, you all have created a condition where people have a heightened sense of anxiety, or, and I wouldn't call it an over-awareness. You can't be too aware that there are pit bulls everywhere in your community. But if you're smart, you are aware. You stay aware. You don't treat society as if it's pit bull free. So you know, this is not a sign of a problem with the victim, because I'm saying that people should be like this before they're attacked. See, if you have a heightened sense of awareness before an attack, it might prevent an attack. Okay, so that's you gotta take that in properly. You gotta categorize this properly. They're saying that that's a symptom of PTSD, that now you have an increased sense of anxiety and now you have an awareness of possible lurking danger. But that is the world we live in. And that's how you need to be. Whether or not you've been attacked by a dog, you better have some sense of awareness of the community around you. And there is always possible lurking danger. I wish it wasn't. So why don't y'all get these things out of society? And then I won't be walking around with an over-awareness of possible lurking danger. I just wanted to clarify that does not mean that there's something wrong with you or the victim. Over-awareness of possible lurking danger, almost as if the natural fight or flight instinct can't resolve itself. That's the world we live in. That's us. That's many of us. Yeah, the fight or flight instinct can't resolve itself because there's nothing we can do. We can't remove these things from society. So we're always aware that they're in society. That's the world we live in. And it's all because of the presence of these mutants. But they listed some symptoms: difficulty sleeping, easily startled, and reacting badly when it happens, a constant feeling of being on edge, as though something bad could happen at any moment. People, yes, this is true. That's very true, but it's for good reason. Every time you step out your front door, you could get attacked. Dogs are just itching to break free and attack someone. It's possible. So if a person thinks like this and feels like this, it's not a sign that something's wrong with them. It's not even a sign that they're traumatized. They're just learning from past experiences. They were attacked, and now they're like, okay, I have to be aware of people's dogs. Let me carry this weapon. Let me carry some spray. Let me carry something. And now you're better prepared. So this is not a sign that something is wrong with you or us. This is a sign that the society does not have our safety in mind. Our safety is not priority in the mind of the lawmakers. Something bad could happen at any moment, every time you're outside. Sometimes when you're inside. Several dogs have run into people's homes. Additional possible symptoms in young children. Children may exhibit some slightly different symptoms of PTSD, either in place of or in addition to some of the symptoms listed above. Younger child, experience bedwetting, being clingy with parents. You know what a big problem is, where a lot of confusion comes from in the mind of a victim, a child victim, say a toddler, like this 2-year-old or whatever. What really drives them crazy is when they reflect on the option that their parents had to have the dog. The kids are smart enough to figure out that the dog didn't have to be there. They understand that. They understand that all you have to do is get the dog out of the house and it would have never attacked me. And after the attack, some of these people, they keep the dog inside the home, or they get another dog. Then that child has to reflect on the fact that that dog doesn't have to be there and that the attack could happen again. They could get attacked again. A lot of these dog owners, they try to force their kids to continue to go around dogs after they've been attacked. I've shared a couple of them on camera. Y'all remember that kid who was attacked? Then they brought a dog on camera and he sort of jumped. He was scared. He went and grabbed. He behaved the exact same way they're describing on this website. As soon as that dog appeared, he went to his mother, clung on to his mother. Okay, this is real bona fide trauma. And y'all actually think it's ethical to randomly bring dogs into hospitals, schools, so on and so forth, when there are people like this in society? That should be illegal. Should be illegal. There's no way around that. No way around it. So these kids see, and it has to drive them crazy, because at a certain point, they have to reflect on the fact that, hey, my parents, they must not love me that much. They're willing to get me mutilated, to get my face ripped to shreds. They're willing to allow that to happen rather than getting rid of the dog. So what does that mean? They care more about the dog than they care for me, because I can't rip the dog to shreds. The only person who is in danger is me. I've already been attacked. You don't even have to be attacked, even if you've never been attacked. Kids are smart enough. They know that dogs can bite them. But after the attack happens, that's when it really drives them crazy. Because a child that young, you can trick them. You can fool them into believing that dogs will never attack. And that's what these people do. They try to brainwash these kids to believe, and they do it at a very young age. They try to brainwash them to believe that dogs are not supposed to attack and that they will never attack you. Now, this is a video that was uploaded by the Dodo just a few hours ago. They're putting out, they always put out a lot of pit bull content. But it seems like they crank it up a notch when there are a lot of attack stories circulating. So as these stories surfaced, the 2-year-old who was attacked, we just had the 7-year-old who was killed. Okay. 7-year-old, the 2-year-old. Just a few hours ago, people, there was a 1-year-old infant bitten by a pit bull. Okay, this was just a couple hours ago. An infant, a 1-year-old infant. You got a 4-year-old boy who was attacked. And this surfaced just yesterday. I don't think I touched on this yet. You got story after story back to back right now. And the Dodo will upload content like this during times like this. And we all know what the agenda is. 5-year-old girl draws pictures about how much she loves her pit bull. These people project this idea that videos like this serve as proof that these things are safe. That is the most asinine. And that's the implication, people. Flat out, it is. They refer to videos like this as proof, because you see them in the comment section. Oh, see, this proves that these are loving creatures, and it's all in how you raise them. Even though people who maintain that they raised them the proper way, they surface all the time saying, I raised it properly and it's still attacked. So they put this content out religiously. They put it out religiously. And it's a constant form of child abuse when you look at it in that perspective. And it's really, it's overt. It's very overt because there's no way that a child can avoid reflecting on the fact that the dog could kill them anytime it wants. And this is especially the case after an attack happens or after your child sees someone attacked. Once that myth, that lie is destroyed, that dogs, oh, they don't attack. They're like Scooby-Doo. They're like Fido. They're like the Dalmatians. They're like cartoons. They're just toys. As long as you love them, they'll love you. Then the dog haul off and attacks. That really traumatizes and confuses kids. Because as adults, we know better. We're not as brainwashed into believing that dogs are not supposed to attack as a 2-year-old would be. So in their mind, they're like, okay, now this is not supposed to happen. But it happened. Why did the dog attack me? What did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? And then your parents keep the dog, or they continue to bring you around dogs, or to bring dogs around you. It makes you feel worthless. A child who feels worthless, who believes that their parents view dogs as more valuable than them, they may have other social dysfunctions that could affect them in a negative way in several other aspects of their life and people relations. Man, I'm so disappointed. There should be more psychologists who specialize in this. Looking at some of the, because I'm not a psychologist, but we've all taken psychology, and college is pretty much associated with every major. And most people have a natural ability to be a psychologist anyway. You know, we are people, and it's all about knowing how people behave. And this needs to be dealt with seriously by a team of professionals. The negative impact of being a dog-obsessed parent. A dog-obsessed parent where you have kids and you continue to act like you're on dog drugs. Act obsessed and addicted to a dog. Then, like I said, they do these crazy things, like they'll only have fun with and play with their kids when the dog is around. They're only in a good mood when the dog is around, which starts to make the child feel like, okay, in order for our mom or dad to like me or to appreciate me, to be nice to me, I got to have the dog around. So the child starts to want the dog around because mom and dad feel better when the dog is around. And that slowly turns people into dog nuts. It slowly turns them into dog nuts, man. So manipulative for this to take place starting at such early ages. Now, what was this story? This story, 4-year-old boy attacked by dog while out riding scooter with family. 4-year-old boy hospitalized. Here you go again. That's bizarre. 4-year-olds not supposed to be hospitalized after being attacked. Stuff like that's not supposed to happen. A flipping 2-year-old hospitalized. What? Attacked? Stabbed repeatedly. What? Yeah, but we're going to keep the creatures that do it. Yeah, we're going to teach the kids that when they see these things to run up to them and try to pet them. It's criminal, man. This therapy dog program is so criminal. And they don't want to stop doing that because they understand how effective it is at creating dog lovers. Because the school is where you're supposed to learn. So anything teachers do inside of a school, kids are going to interpret it as something that they're supposed to be learning. And it's like, okay, everybody put their stamp of approval on it. This is very detrimental, man. This makes it harder to convert people away from nuttery, these therapy dog programs. And the way because they take them everywhere. Hospitals, schools, libraries, anywhere they find kids. They're bringing these therapy mutts. And if they were to stop doing that, they understand that it would be a lot easier for people to view dogs as they truly are. That's part of the brainwashing program, to bring drugged up dogs that are heavily sedated, where dogs that quite often go into a new environment around a whole bunch of kids moving around and stuff, being loud, and then they fall asleep. We're not stupid. These dogs are drugged up. They are very drugged up. Yeah, let's bring a bunch of kids around a drugged up dog so that they can feel like, oh, look how harmless it is. Oh, it wants to fall asleep. Doesn't want to attack you. Go outside, they see a pit bull, go up to rub it and get attacked. Then you want to talk about the child's behavior. So this was unprovoked. I can tell by the way that the story reads. Riding a scooter. How many kids stop as they're riding their scooter to taunt or pull a dog's ear, like their behaviorists say or claim happens? How likely is that? You think the boy stopped riding his scooter and went over and taunted the dog to trigger this attack? The dog was a large male bulldog. Oh, it was a bully breed. There you go. The owner reportedly left the scene. Okay. This happens a lot, doesn't it? Where the owner leaves the scene. They don't leave the scene, they'll pull out a gun and start threatening people after their dog attacks someone. Another bully breed. Owner is described as a white man of large build, dark cropped hair, large blue eyes. Greater Manchester police continued. He was possibly in his mid-20s, wearing a white top. He was walking a second dog. Yeah, find this guy. Please find this guy. He's not only has dangerous dogs, they're attacking kids, and he's fleeing the scene. It shouldn't have to get this far. The criminality shouldn't have to get this far. It's a crime to be in possession of these things as it is. But you encouraging that type of criminality, it makes it easier for these people to do other crimes. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Does that make sense? They're more inclined to commit other crimes when you put a stamp of approval on the crime of owning these things. It's a crime. It doesn't have to be in writing that it's a crime. You know right from wrong. Come on, man. Again, another example of how this dog culture, it leads to other social problems. Some that you wouldn't even think would be related. It is. 1-year-old infant. How did this happen? A 1-year-old sound like they were trying to get a picture or a video, because they spam those photos on the internet every day. Dogs with infants. Always bringing a dog around an infant. 1-year-old, and it was a pit bull. You know what it is? These pit bull owners, I suspect, are more likely to want a child dog photo. Is that what it is? Is it? Are they less likely to want, the people who own pit bulls? They're more desperate to get rid of this so-called stigma around pit bulls. Does that make them more likely to want a child dog photo? What's the problem here? A 1-year-old attacked by a pit bull. That's not supposed to happen. It only requires basic sense, a very loose sense of safety and awareness for you to make sure that this never happens. And all it requires is that dogs are not around. At the very least, bully breeds are not around. You mean to tell me the dog lover world, y'all can't even take it if one breed was exterminated, was not around? Everybody knows that the extermination of bully breeds would increase safety more than the elimination of any other single breed. They know that. So why doesn't it happen? We don't need nothing in society willing and able to start stabbing a flipping 1-year-old infant. Are we really having this discussion? Are we really having this discussion? And again, unprovoked. She was playing with her trike, which is like a bike with 3 wheels. The dog came into the yard. According to the mother, the 2-year-old ignored the dog and continued to play with her trike. And out of nowhere, the dog came up and attacked. Every single story is unprovoked. Every single one. So behaviorists, you have some explaining to do. You got some explaining to do. Now, did y'all see there was another attack in Lucknow? This is like the 3rd or 4th dog attack in Lucknow. This is crazy. The 3rd case in a month's time. What is going on? 27-year-old woman attacked. Okay. She don't look too bad off. But the reputation of dogs over there is taking a hit. It's taking a hit everywhere. All around the world. Better believe that. I want y'all to understand, you dog lovers. The days of you terrorizing people is over. Y'all have gotten off on that. Like, wow, the law allows me to threaten people, just random people. The law allows me to just go around and literally threaten people's life. You walking around with a pit bull. Some people walking around with 2, 3 pit bulls. You're just walking around threatening people. And the presence of a pit bull or pit bulls, it makes people behave as if there's a bomb in the area. Because if people are enjoying the great outdoors, now they have to stop. The dog comes around, now people, kids, the elderly have to go inside the home, have to seek cover, seek shelter, protection. You got to create a barrier between yourself and the dog. I shared that story where I saw that woman jogging down the street just for her morning jog. She had to stop, turn around, and walk the other direction when she saw a dog off leash in somebody's front yard. The presence of dogs forces people to behave as if a bomb is in the area. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. These people terrorize communities, and this is a sick form of child abuse in the form of neglect and favoritism. And it's a sinister type of abuse because it involves mortality, where the parent indirectly says to the child, I'm willing to let you die to have this dog in this house. If it kills you, it kills you. But I'm not getting rid of this dog for you. That's one of the sickest forms of abuse possible. More young people, I believe, are going to become aware of this, and they're going to push back against this dog culture themselves. Shout out to everybody able to join me for this early morning live stream. Ashar, shout out to Ashar, Kittens, Ranger. Oh, okay. Yes, please. We Hate Dogs in the building. Big shout out to We Hate Dogs. Make sure you check out the channel. We Hate Dogs. Donald in the building. So I feel like the victims of dog attacks, it's unethical to treat society as if they don't exist. Because it's not just the people who've been attacked by dogs. It's some of the people who've had family members attacked by dogs, and it traumatizes them as well. This lady you just heard, the mother said she was now traumatized and got rid of the dog. Society functions as if these people just don't exist, as if they don't matter. And that level of disrespect is just, it shouldn't be accepted. Everybody else get consideration, don't they? There's a lot of things that you can't do because it might violate somebody else's rights, especially might impact their health. It's not just the safety aspect, it's the deception. How they lie to these kids by bringing these things in there. And it's also health. Inhaling this nasty, toxic urine that kills plant life, and it's toxic excrement that's all on its dander. It's toxic saliva. That's 3 of the most harmful elements on this planet: dog urine, excrement, and saliva. There's no benefit to having these things in society. And that is much more the case in regard to bully breeds. Shout out to everybody who's able to join me. I'll be back sooner than later, and I hope you all are able to join me as we continue with this crusade.